Hello and welcome to Buildings of Tomorrow. My name is John Lester, and in today's episode, we are talking about digitalization in fire. I'm joined by Peter Nebiker. He is the head of fire safety products at Siemens Smart Infrastructure. Peter, thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, John. Glad being here today.
It's great to have you. And what I'm excited about is talking a little bit about digitalization, because in the past we've talked about fire safety and the importance of fire safety, the scope of fire safety in previous episodes. And we've also talked with different guests around smart buildings. And one of those core themes, or the two core themes I'd like to join a little bit together with you today, because we talk about the importance of digitalization, we talk about the importance of connectivity. Let's start at the start. From your perspective, when we say digitalization, what does that mean?
Well, John, digitalization is a big word. Let me take a step back and reflect the meaning of digitalization in terms of fire detection from my point of view. So, digitalization is all about connectivity and information, having access to data, integrate and combine all kind of relevant business information, buildings information, system and device information, and actually with one purpose at the end to improve the efficiency and also to create additional user experience. So to have more safety, more security, and also more well-being.
Perfect. So it's that connectivity, it's that ability to collect information, to get transparency, to ultimately deliver a better experience, more safety, more security, more well-being, as you mentioned. Now, what I'm really excited about for today's conversation is your knowledge and experience in the industry, and it's one of the important parts when we talk about digitalization and we start to try and turn it into the real life. We have to understand the industry. We have to know the situations where it can have a positive effect. So I wanted to ask you quickly if you had an example from your hands-on experience, from the time that you spend in the industry, if you have an example of a situation, a use case where digitalization can really add value and show benefit.
Yes, sure. The introduction I gave you to the digitalization in terms of fire safety, that sounds quite theoretical. I like to share some personal experiences also with fire detection systems. Maybe you know already, I grew up in a family-owned business environment, and of course, we had a fire detection. And at that time, like most of the systems still today, the system was completely standalone. That means it was just connected to the fire brigade and an alarm receiving sensor. Now, twice over some time, there was a real fire detected, and we were really lucky. So the fire brigade was automatically called, and serious damages could definitely be avoided. Now, the issue is, since the alarm was triggered during the night, nobody was able to check from remote in which location the fire developed and assess the risk until the fire brigade was on site. Wouldn't it have been cool just to know in the time of the alarm where the alarm was triggered and how the fire developed? Now, the second experience, unfortunately, it was really on rare occasions, the system showed some failure, and because it was installed in a pretty harsh environment, and automatically the alarm receiving center was informed, which then called at that time my parents' home again. And as it is with all these faults, it was in the middle of the night. And now, how were my parents supposed to solve the problem of the alarm system? They didn't know anything about the details of the alarm system. And I was always wondering why the system wouldn't connect to the supplier directly, which could assess the situation from remote and take the necessary actions. And that's a bit my experience with the fire detection system. And I think today digitalization may really help to improve these situations.
Thanks, Peter. Great examples of a couple of situations where that insight and that ability to connect remotely, get transparency, and even connect to the right people could make a benefit. And this remote connectivity is in many cases driven by cloud connectivity. Can you give us an example of some of the main benefits offered by our ability to connect via the cloud?
Sure. As said, nowadays systems they may connect to the cloud and exchange system relevant information, and that continuously with suppliers, facility managers, and even the building owners. Now, in case of an alarm, as I said in my first example, the fire brigade or owner they may assess the situation even before anyone is on site, and therefore they can gain additional time for taking the optimal decisions. Now, in the second case, when a system is unfortunately not functioning properly, the system builder or also the service provider is automatically informed via cloud connections on the detailed cause, and a fast diagnosis can be possible, and necessary actions can be taken immediately, and then without having to disturb the owner, uh, as in our case, in the middle of the night. And furthermore, this connecting the system to the cloud and knowing at any time the status, even before a system failure may occur, this facilitates a incident management by the service providers to maximize the performance and change from today's really prescriptive maintenance schemes to a predictive maintenance.
That's a great example, and like you describe, a really interesting way for process to be driven using cloud connectivity. And we talked there about performance and the reaction in a couple of different situations. How can that cloud connectivity really help maximize the safety delivery, like you mentioned at the start, the main goals or one of the main goals of this industry to really maximize that safety?
Now, at the end of the day, it's all about maximizing safety and having less disturbance in the building as possible. Now, the issue is a bit the parameterization of a fire detection system is always a difficult trade off between a fast response to a real fire and a robustness to a deceptive phenomenon. A false alarm may interfere with business operations significantly, as we know. Now, today, detectors with inbuilt testing functionalities, they ensure proper operation as best as possible. Connecting these IoT-enabled fire detectors furthermore to the cloud and analyzing the sensor data continuously allows an optimized setting of the detection properties responsive to the specific application and case. Just make an example. Take an office building, and after 1 year, the facility manager has a look at all the data which was collected by the detector, and they see the detector hasn't seen anything near to a fire alarm. That gives a clear indication that the sensitivity of the detector is too robust, and the facility manager he may approach the end user or the tenant and discuss with him the possibility to increase the sensitivity and then also to maximize the safety without compromising the normal business operation.
All right, so that's a really nice additional use case where we talk about not just the response to an event and improving the ability to protect assets, to protect people, protect life, but also minimize the effect of an event and hopefully turn it into a non-event, but also really ensuring that that protection is tailored specifically for the use case. Because your example is an office building. If we look at an office building, every floor may be used for different things and therefore need different requirements to ensure that safety and have that balance. Now, you use the example of an office there. I'd like to ask you for another example of maybe some more critical infrastructure because when we talk about false alarms and we talk about this balance between not disrupting business but still delivering safety, we have some situations in our infrastructure that are really critical. Do you have another example for us?
Yes, John. Let me take the example of a hospital. What is the impact if there is a false alarm? It's clear it might be that essential healthcare procedures they may be interrupted. Patients may need to be evacuated, and the overall critical business operation is compromised. Now, in case of a real fire, patients may not be evacuated fast and easily, and therefore an early detection of a dangerous situation, that means a fire in this case, is crucial to gain reaction time. So, and now the inbuilt detect test functionalities and the change from prescriptive to predictive system service lowers the necessity to access individual patient rooms for maintenance reasons. So, as I as I said, cloud operations and automated test features, they really help to increase the safety, especially in hospitals, and minimize the disturbance by maintenance or system malfunctions.
Yeah, that's a really important example because, as you described there, this is about as critical as it can get from an impact on infrastructure and the operation of that infrastructure. If we have the ability through these different technologies, like you mentioned, to test, to understand the health of a system, but also avoid those non-required disruptions, this is a massive impact. Now let's talk a little bit about we've talked about technology, and every time we have a new technology, every time there is a change and a significant shift within an industry where we try to start doing things, and of course the fire safety industry is not the first one that's gone through this, but these changes sometimes bring with them some challenges. What are the challenges in this situation when we start to try and apply a digitalization approach and some of these IoT technologies, cloud technologies to the fire safety industry?
Any change, as you just said, John, brings new challenges. So, for me, one important issue, the replacement of the manual work by digital means and technology evolutions. That means automation and also remote maintenance. That will lead to a shift of the business mix for system integrators and also facility managers. Also, the change, as described previously in the examples, from a prescriptive to a predictive maintenance based on data analytics, that will lead to completely new business models, also to new opportunities. And these new business models, they require additional knowledge and skills for technicians and also the engineers. And in addition, this new IoT-enabled solutions that gather data and send them into the cloud, they generate a need also for experts that can process these data to derive valuable actions. And last but not least, people are always afraid, but I think there is no need to be afraid that there will be less jobs. However, the job profiles, they will eventually change from today's electromechanical expertise to a multidisciplinary expertise.
Understand. So there will be a change, and a change from a technology perspective, but also a change then from the industry, the skills that we need, the expertise that's required. But that's an opportunity for us, less than a risk. And I think we see that reflected in other situations where we've gone through this digitalization process. So Peter, we've talked a little bit about technology. We've talked about IoT detectors and devices. We've talked about cloud connectivity. Every time we talk about connection, every time we talk about connectivity, we also have to have a little bit of a think about this cybersecurity aspect. What about cybersecurity in this case, and how does it apply, and what needs to be considered when we're talking here about fire safety?
Okay, John, now you open up a big box. So it's clear cybersecurity, when it comes to connectivity and the cloud, for sure, plays an essential role whenever we talk about digitalization. Now, the standalone systems, which we have, most of the system are actually standalone systems right now, but eventually they will be connected to the cloud. So, as mentioned, these pose some additional risks. So, with all the nice benefits of the cloud's connectivity, concerned about the IT security must be taken definitely seriously, especially when it comes to life safety. Now, as a manufacturer, we have adopted a cyber security thinking, or we call it a think security philosophy in our product development and the lifecycle management process. But cybersecurity actually is not an issue of a single device only, but rather poses a challenge for all interconnected systems within a new or even an existing IT infrastructure. Now, furthermore, cybersecurity has not only a technological aspect, but also has a process and people aspect too. Therefore, the cybersecurity must be an integral part of the whole business operation. And so you understand that this topic cannot be covered in a few sentences, and it might be definitely food for another podcast. I would be happy to do that.
That sounds perfect, and I think your comments are 100% right. Absolutely essential, absolutely a core part of this. And you mentioned there the approach taken from your organisation to drive this as part of the product development, as part of the product lifecycle management. But I think it is a good topic for us for one of the future discussions. So let's put that on the list, and we can come back to it.
Looking forward.
Peter, thanks so much for the explanation. Thanks so much for the insight. I wanted to see, we've talked about a lot of things. We've talked about technology. We've talked about different use cases, different examples within building stock where digitalization can really add benefits. Do you have a summary for us? Do you have something that you'd like to highlight for the audience to close this episode?
Yes, first of all, thanks also to you, John, for the nice conversation. What I wanted to share with the audience is, as I started at the beginning, digitalization is all about connectivity and information, and it really brings a lot of opportunities. But as with all technology, it is useless without people who have the knowledge to apply it wisely and effectively.
That's a great way to finish. I think that's perfect, Peter, because as you say, that technology is just technology. Data is just data. It's not worth anything unless we can use it to derive those insights, those valuable actions that you mentioned before, and we have the people to do that with the skills and the knowledge in the industry. So it's a great way to finish. And thank you so much for joining us. It was a real pleasure, and I look forward to having some more conversations at some point in the future.
Thanks, John. The pleasure was also on my side.
Perfect. And a big thank you also to everyone out there who is listening to us. Please remember to like, subscribe, comment, share this episode, and always look out for the new episodes coming every other week, and definitely some more conversations around fire safety and the positive impact that digitalization can have in this essential and this important part of the building industry. So thank you all, and we'll see you very soon.